Hello. No, I don't think so.
No, that's right.
Oh, hello. Okay, we thought we had a mic issue. We haven't done this for so long. All right, welcome to Living on a Dime, guys. So tonight we are doing a live show for the first time in 3 months.
Hello.
We took a break for a little while and we decided we are going to talk about dominating the world.
Of course, what else would Tara talk about?
And how I'm going to be dominating the world.
See?
I have an announcement to make tonight, right here?
You do?
I do.
Oh, okay.
About
cool.
world domination. All right, I'm going to play my video here for you. 11th batch of fudge I think I've made. 12, 13, no. Holy cow, no wonder they're fudged out. I think this is close to 15 batches of fudge I've made so far. And I still have at least that many to go. Because I am going to dominate the fudge making YouTube sphere. The fudge recipes, huh?
I guess you're making it a thing.
Yes. I am going to have world domination with fudge recipes. You watch and see. I'm going to do it. And I'll do it even more if you guys will share and give me a thumbs up and like and subscribe and all that fun stuff that helps me have world domination in the fudge recipe arena. All right, so as you can see, I have been making tons and tons of fudge, and I will show you why. We just literally cannot keep up. Oh, let me see. Where'd my other tab go? Here. So let me show you what is happening over on Super Easy Recipes here. You can see this little on the far right, or excuse me, on the far left. Can you see this little blip from last year? That's December 17th, 2023 over there, that little blip on the left. That is the best we had ever done on Super Easy Recipes, my other YouTube channel. Now you can go over to the left here and you can see, let's see, how long have we been doing this? It's been 6 weeks. You can see 6 weeks ago, Super Easy Recipes decided to go crazy.
Wow.
Absolutely crazy. And
the chocolate queen is back.
So the queen of Christmas candy making has arrived on the scene again and has decided to dominate the world with her Christmas candy recipes.
Tara doesn't do anything halfway.
Hey, I figure if I'm going to make recipes, I'm going to dominate the world doing it. And so we have been working our tails off on Super Easy Recipes is what we have been doing. And so literally we just have not had time to make videos for Living on a Dime, and we still don't at the moment. And thankfully, God has blessed us, and from all of our financial issues that we were having at the beginning of the year. This has been a really rough year for us, but in 4 weeks, all of that has been corrected for us, and we're back on back on even keel here. So we are focusing, Mike and I are focusing on doing super easy recipes. I am focusing on super easy recipes. So tonight we thought we would get on. We would answer some of your Bible questions. A lot of you have been emailing saying, Tara, please, can you and Mike do a Bible show? And so I am going to have you guys go ahead and ask whatever questions you want tonight, and we will start answering your Bible questions if you want, or other questions if you want. Kimberly just got all of her debt paid off. Good job,
Yay.
Kimberly. Wow. And we have someone watching from Cancun. Holy moly.
Ooh, and
wow.
Mary's watching from Cork.
It's Georgina is from Cancun.
Wow.
Is she on vacation or is she living there? I don't know. That's the question. And so, so we're going to go ahead and answer you guys' questions. You can go ahead and post them in the comments. While you are getting that done, first of all, let me just say we have made probably close to 125, 30 pounds of candy so far. And we are working, I'm estimating we will make between 150 and 180 pounds of candy, depending how much I can get done this week. And so it has just been crazy eating all that candy, giving it all away, doing as much as we can. And thankfully, God has made that channel just go berserk. And I have really been enjoying it. So that is the direction we've been going on there. All right, let's go ahead and get started on questions. Michelle says, did Jesus make the earth/creation? Would you like to answer that one?
Well, actually, Michelle also said, or was it God? So, Jesus is God. So, yes, to both questions. So if we go to John 1, in verse 1, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And a little further down, it explains that the Word is Jesus. So here it says the Word was God, so Jesus is God. It also says that in verse 2, he was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and apart from him, not even one thing came into being that has come into being. So yes, Jesus was basically God is a Trinity, and I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but God is one God. But he has three distinct persons, which would be the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. And God, who is all of them, all at the same time, they are each one 100% God at the same time. God created everything, but it says here specifically that the Word was with God, which is Jesus, and that he created, all things came into being through him, and apart from him, nothing was made, basically. So yes, Jesus did make the earth and creation, but Jesus is God. Yep. As far as the Trinity goes, the way we understand that, because the Bible says that the Father is God and the Son is God and the Spirit is God, and they're all 100% God all the time. So God's not like the Father sometimes and Jesus sometimes. He's always all of them. And so as sort of Jesus is the one who came as a man, he also here is he is the sort of, he's all of God created all of creation, but Jesus is specifically defined here as one responsible for it.
It's really hard to explain the Trinity. The best explanation I've ever heard is ice, steam, and what's another one? Snow. Can't remember. Ice, steam, and rain are all three totally different things, but they're all water. So that's not exactly it, but if you can kind of have that in your mind, you think, okay, these are all the same thing, but they're different forms.
But no example like that really works to explain God, because water is either steam, rain, or ice, but God is the Father, the Son, and the Spirit 100% all the time. So it's not, God is not the Father, and then sometimes he's the Jesus and sometimes he's the Spirit, because some people believe that and it's not true.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. We had another question here. Chris says, how long did you actually work in the candy shop before you met Mike? Okay, I'll answer that question. First of all, guys, we extended our Christmas sale for our cookbooks because we have so many new people coming to our other channel, Super Easy Recipes, that we extended our Christmas sale. It's up to 50% off, 40% off our print books, and 50% off our ebooks, including our price book, which a lot of you have been asking to get, is on sale right now. So
as far as I would say, some people probably wonder about getting it for Christmas. We can't guarantee that it'll get there for Christmas, but right now I would say
you should be able to get it to Christmas.
They are arriving. Generally, they are arriving before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the closer you get to Christmas, the less likely that is to be.
Yeah.
So, the post office is pretty snappy right now.
Yeah. So the economy is so bad that our post office lady for the last month has gone from 40 packages a day to 400. And this has been going on for like 6 weeks now. So it's not just a Christmas thing. So the post office has really been moving quick. But all right, how long did I work in the candy shop where I met Mike? Let me see. We met in April and I had been working there, I don't know, 6 or 7 months, probably. I don't know. How long I don't even remember when I started there. Do you remember?
I don't know. Well, I don't know when you started. I know that you weren't there that long after I met
But
you.
I worked with his sister. And I remember working with his sister, and her sister was talking about her brother, and I was like, there's no way I'd marry that guy. And sure enough, 30 years later, we're still together.
Yep.
So, so 30 years later, we're still together, and I worked there. I did not actually make the fudge in the fudge shop. I did all the candy dipping, which is probably why I hate candy dipping now.
But
I made all the turtles and all those dipped candies, truffles and stuff.
Yeah. When I went in and she was dressed up in that white candy apron making candy, and I was like, ooh, that's the girl for me.
But what's hilarious is before we met, Mike did cooking videos for his degree. He's actually a producer. He has a degree in film and television.
I worked 20 years at 3 different PBS stations and university and
he's actually a producer and an editor.
Yeah.
But he worked there, and then I worked at a candy shop before, and this was even before the internet even really started. I know the internet was out there. Mike was on it, so I know all about that. But I mean, for the average Hojo, the internet was not started yet. So we would have never had any idea that we would be making cooking videos now.
Yeah, the other day I said,
it's really funny.
Who would have thought back in the day that when I was doing cooking with Serge, that and you were doing candy at the candy shop, that we would someday be using both of those skills together.
Yeah. So somebody said, I didn't know you were doing a live show today. Kelly said that. Yes. So what happened was Wednesday, something or another was happening Wednesday. I can't remember what was happening Wednesday. We were going to do one Wednesday. And then yesterday was Mike's birthday.
Yay.
I decided I like older men.
Oh no. Are you going to leave me then?
And so we didn't want to do it yesterday, so that's why we're doing it today. I don't know if we're going to go back to I don't know if we're going to go back to doing live shows or not. We're still trying to figure out where we want to go with living on a dime. I don't know if we want to do how to, or if we want to do all Bible, or if we want to just do live shows. We're not sure yet. And so we'll probably figure it out around February.
Thanks everyone for the happy birthday
Aww.
messages. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed, but like 20 people said, your hair's amazing, Tawra.
Oh, thank you. I finally got it grown out again. Remember when the lady hacked it like 2 years ago, and I've been working on growing it out? I'm finally getting there. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. Kimberly says, the great deception is, whoops, where'd it go? It flipped off my computer. She said something to the effect of,
Is here, do not be deceived.
The great deception is here, do not be deceived. I want to talk about that for just a little bit, actually. And I'll have Mike grab some more comments while I'm doing that. Let's talk about this Daystar thing a little bit. Are you rolling your eyes and you're like, no?
Tara's been like, look what's going on over there. It's like, what's Daystar? Actually, what's funny about that is
you were on Daystar.
Yeah, I produced a show that was on there like in 2007 or 8 for when I was working as a producer for our church. But even then, I didn't really know that it was any. I just thought it was a small little satellite network. So
he didn't know it was $1 billion company. All right, so let's talk about Daystar for a little bit.
It probably wasn't back then.
Yeah. So when Joni, so for those of you who don't know, Daystar is a huge Christian broadcasting ministry that is registered as a church with the government, a nonprofit church with the government. It does not have to, they don't have to disclose their finances or anything like that because they are registered as a church. So when I saw this blow up about 3 weeks ago, I was watching it because 2 years ago, well, last year, not 2 years ago, last year, when the head of Daystar now, Joni Lamb, got married, we were asked a lot of questions about her marriage to her new husband. And for those of you who don't know, her new husband, Doug, divorced his wife in November 30th of 2020, Joni Lamb's husband died. And January of 2021, her new husband filed for divorce from his current wife. And in July of 2021, Joni started dating this man, and she was married in June or July of 2023 to this man. And so a lot of people were asking us because they're like, well, wait a minute, he's divorced and she's getting remarried, and she can get remarried, but he really shouldn't be getting remarried. Okay. Yes. Everything that I have seen and heard from her new husband, he should not be getting remarried after his divorce. Everyone has said there was no adultery in his marriage. He has said that there's been abandonment and abuse and all these kinds of things in his marriage, except that way before that, he was saying how great and wonderful his marriage was. This guy was a marriage counselor and a therapist for couples. And yet he was saying how great his marriage was, and he was counseling these people. And even as he was getting divorced, he did not let people know that he was in the middle of a divorce while he was counseling these people. That is not good. Now, why do I bring all this up? Because this is a huge scandal that is going on right now, because supposedly they have been covering up, the allegations are that they have been covering up some assault on the granddaughter of Joni, the owner of Daystar. Well, and so it's been a big blow up with her son leaving and all this. But here's my problem with Daystar, and we're talking about deception. In I can't remember for sure, but I think it was like 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. It came out that the owner of Daystar, Marcus Lamb, Joni's husband, had an affair. And it turns out it was for 7 years. He confessed his sins, and then they repaired their marriage. Okay, yeah, you can do that. But here's the thing. They kept going with this ministry, which is registered as a church. When a man has an affair like that, he completely disqualifies himself from being a pastor, which if he's registered as a church, then his role is as a pastor in that ministry. And so he completely disqualified himself for being pastor of this church. All right. And if you want a verse for that, it's Titus 1:6. An elder must be blameless, faithful to his wife, a man whose children believe and are not open to the charge of being wild and disobedient. Faithful to his wife. He was not faithful to his wife. Right there, that completely disqualifies him for being a pastor. The next thing is, when he did die, his wife became the pastor of this ministry. Women are not called to be pastors. 1 Timothy 2:11, a woman should learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or assume authority over a man. She must be quiet. I have a problem with the quiet part.
What? I was shocked. By the way, if you have other questions, or even if you have Bible questions or not Bible questions, any kind of questions, go ahead and post them and we'll get to them here in a little bit.
Go ahead and post them and I'll answer them. And so even before this whole assault on their granddaughter and covering it up and the son leaving and all of this stuff, I completely disregarded Daystar as any kind of ministry just with those two things alone. And no one is talking about this. Her husband was disqualified as a pastor, and she is not allowed to be a pastor according to the Bible. Women are not allowed to be pastors. So all of this other stuff that is going on with the assault on the granddaughter and all that, that will be taken care of with the police and through a police report, okay? All of that will be dealt with through that. And so as Christians, my whole point for telling you this, as Christians, we need to be discerning when we are listening to these platforms and listening to people. We need to go back to the Bible. We need to see what the Bible says about these things. And then we can make a decision for ourselves, pray about it and see. But there are some churches, like I have not joined some churches that we attend regularly because I don't agree with some of the things they're doing. Now, for us, it may be because it was the only church available, like in a small town. What is it with us in small towns? We just pick small towns, don't we, a lot?
Why not? Small towns are awesome, but not when they become big towns.
But even when we lived in the big town in the last state we lived in, we still had a really hard time finding a church that really stuck to the Bible. And so you have to read the Bible for yourself and discern for yourself what is going on. And you're not going to know if you're able to discern if you don't read the Bible. So for all of these things, read the Bible for yourself and decide from that. But for me, I wrote Daystar off long ago because they were not biblically based at all. Starting at the very top, they're not biblically based.
After I stopped producing on there.
After you stopped, you were just, and Mike was on there before all that was going on.
Well, I didn't actually work for them. I worked at my church, and we had a time slot on there where we published our show. And I was the tech guy that did all that.
But I will say the same church was extremely spiritually abusive just like the whole situation that's going on with Daystar. Now, I will tell you, there are two sides to every story. And I don't think that Jonathan and Susie Lamb are completely innocent of everything either, in the way that they have dealt with stuff and things like that. And so there are two sides to every story. I get that. But I also know that from some of the recordings and stuff that have come out, that is just plain spiritual abuse on a lot of those meetings that they've been having. And here's another thing that no one talks about. But this board that they keep talking about in all these meetings, if you have watched some of the recordings that have been put out, it was 3 people. It was Joni Lamb, her son Jonathan. She was the president. He was the vice president. And then one other man. There were 3 people on the board, and 2 of them were family members. That is not a proper board for a ministry, especially a billion-dollar ministry. There is 0 accountability in that. 0. That is not a board.
I'm not especially interested in some of the things about like looking at ministries and seeing, what they're doing wrong particularly. But I have seen a few things related to this, and it's kind of frightening that this is the way it's being operated in the background. And that would make me really not want to be involved with that. And I would say, by the way, sorry, were you saying more on that? Because I was going to make a generalization.
Go ahead.
Especially if you're looking on YouTube to see what people say about Bible things, it's good to kind of know who they are. And it's also good to, if you hear something and you think that sounds great, then it's good to be like the Bereans in the Bible, which are a group of people that after Paul would preach, then they would look through the scriptures and see if what he said was true. And I hear a lot of people say, well, I kind of think this because I heard that blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, well, you heard it, but anyone can say anything. And on YouTube, they will. So you want to make sure if you hear something and it sounds different, open the Bible and look and see if it's there. And by the way, if you know the Bible pretty well, then it's easier for you to look through there and find that. But if you don't know the Bible, you can actually go to Google and type in some part of what you heard and put like blah, blah, blah Bible verse. Or if you just want to, again, you should not read the Bible in only excerpts. You need to read the whole thing. But if somebody says the Bible says this about marriage or this about whatever, business or this about anxiety, if you just go to Google and you type in anxiety Bible verses, there are all kinds of people who collect lists of verses like that. And you can't just read one verse and say, see, this is what the Bible says about that. But what you can do is do a little Bible study for yourself where you open the Bible to each one of those verses and read not just the verse, but the whole chapter or that it's in, or at least the verses kind of around it. And you'll get a great kind of picture of what the Bible generally seems to say on that topic. However, again, it's important you know the whole Bible, because if you take something out of excerpt or out of context in an excerpt like that, and you stake your entire faith on that, some things are easy to be confused about. Because, like, for instance, the Bible is very clear that you are saved by Christ alone, by faith alone, through God's grace alone, not through works. Particularly, you can look at Ephesians 2:8, the entire book of Galatians. Those are places that super support that. But when we bring it up, there's inevitably a detractor that will look to James and say, faith without works is dead, which is true. And James was right on that. But in the same chapter, James is talking about how salvation is by faith. But he's just saying, if you say you have faith and you don't do anything, are you really saved? That's why he says faith without works is dead. But people will stake their entire thing on faith without works is dead and use that to kind of try to be evidence for it's all about works. And so those are the things where it's good to not just look at a verse, but to understand kind of the whole context.
Yep.
But it is helpful if you don't know anything and you're just wondering when somebody makes a statement to just type in something about what they said and verse, Bible verse, and Google will bring up stuff and you can look it up in the Bible.
Well, one of the things with this whole Daystar thing, the son who was the vice president, what kind of has made some of this happen was he refused to read a glowing comment from a viewer about the president's new husband because they feel that she's in an adulterous marriage. And so they do not think it's right. And so he was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I think that they're right. Everything that I have seen, her new husband is divorced from his wife. There was no adultery in his wife. His wife did not commit adultery. He said how great and wonderful his wife was for all these things. And then all of a sudden they're getting divorced, yet the wife still works at his company. That's not abandonment. If your wife is still working for your company, that's not abandonment. And even at that, even if they are both Christians and she leaves him and doesn't get remarried, well, God doesn't like divorce. But if your husband is being a real number, you can separate and leave. And so, yes, do I believe this is an adulterous relationship? Yes, I do, from everything that I've seen. This man is a narcissist to the highest degree. He does nothing but talk about himself and his bodybuilding and all this stuff. I've seen some of the workshops that he's done with some of his counseling, and the man is just raunchy. He's just nasty. And this man is no great catch, let me tell you. And she's going to have to deal with that, and that's fine. But you have to have discernment. Look for the things and the facts yourself. And I get it. People talk. People say stuff about us, and it's not true. And they just make assumptions from piecing things together. So that's why you have to discern things. But when you get the facts, like Marcus Lamb back 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever, was having an affair and still running this church, right? The facts are a pastor cannot go back to being a pastor after he has had an affair. That disqualifies him. Jim Bakker should not be running any ministry like that. It disqualifies him. Jimmy Swaggart, it disqualifies him. Yes, you can repent, but you cannot go back into leadership. And the Bible is very clear about that. So anyway, yeah, just to have some discernment and read the Bible for yourself so that you know what's actually in the Bible and what is the truth. All right, send me comments and questions and we will get going further. While I'm waiting for comments from Mike, our sale is happening right now. We continued our Black Friday sale. It'll be a Christmas sale because our Dining on a Dime cookbooks are selling like hotcakes from all of our super easy recipes videos. We've got volume 1 and volume 2, and our gluten-free, dairy-free edition and my price book are all on sale for Christmas, including our ebooks. Our ebooks are 50% and our print books are 40% off. And while he's getting those sent over to me, I just wanted to say thank you to Carol for the absolutely adorable gnome calendar. She has sent me this 3 years in a row, and I absolutely love it. Thank you so much. Really awesome. Here, I'll show you the Christmas one for next year. There. Isn't that cute? Oh my goodness, that's just so darn cute. And then I wanted to thank you guys. We have been getting Christmas cards. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it so much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Chrissy. Yes, Ted would be disqualified from ministry also. I remember that when we were there. All right. Let's see. Did you get those sent to me?
Yes. Not really a lot of questions so far, but you can certainly look through there and share what you like. But if you have any questions about anything, about saving money, about the Bible, about fudge recipes and other recipes on Super Easy, whatever, we're here to answer your questions.
Darlene,
And
where have you been? So we have been gone for 3 months. We decided to take a break from the live shows for a while, and I have been focusing on my super easy recipes cooking channel. If you want to find it, it's super easy recipes. It is absolutely going berserk, and I have been focusing on that and really loving it. Mike and the boys went back to my brother's in Kansas for Thanksgiving, and I sat at home by myself for 6 days. Was it 6 days or 5? 5 or 6 days, and enjoyed the quiet. It was glorious.
See, you need us to go again.
Yes. Feel free to go at Christmas.
All right. See ya.
Merry Christmas to me.
It was funny though, because here we went to Tara's brother's house, just the kids and I, and all of our kids from all around all came there and met cousins and everything like that. But it was funny because people would say, "What are you doing for Thanksgiving?" Like, "Oh, going out to Tara's brother's house." Yeah. Well, she's not coming, but the rest of us are coming. They're like, "What?" Well,
Yeah.
She stayed here, and then Jill stayed in town as well.
Mom and I stayed here, although Mom stayed at her house and I stayed at my house. So we didn't even spend Thanksgiving together. It was very, very nice. Having everybody gone and just having the house quietly. Paul says, how much weight has your family gained? We haven't really gained any weight. We're not really eating a lot of the candy.
Well, also,
it gets to be a little much after 150 pounds.
It does get to be a lot, but also I've not been able to eat it very much. Well, actually, during this whole thing, somewhere, I think you had already been making the Christmas candy for a while. I ended up needing to go on an elimination diet. So I was eating just rice for 3 days. And then I was eating rice and chicken for a couple days, and then rice and chicken and broccoli. And here we're making fudge and fudge and fudge. And I'm thinking,
So he hasn't even been able to eat anything this whole time.
I ended up saving some, but even then I can sort of eat some of it now, but I haven't really been.
Yeah. And in the midst of all this, 3 weeks ago, I started Michael Jacksoning myself. If I end up like Michael Jackson, Mike warned me. I have started hyperbaric oxygen chamber therapy 3 weeks ago, I think. And holy moly.
She's like, woo, let's go.
Oh, wow. I feel like a new person. I'm not healed by any stretch of the imagination, but I took 16 glutathione shots, and that really helped. And then that helped with my chronic fatigue syndrome. And then I thought, okay, I've got to be able to do something for my fibromyalgia. And my doctor was like, well, you might be able to, hyperbaric oxygen might help you. So I was like, okay. So I found a place here in town that does it. And so I've been going every day, 5 days a week for the last 3 weeks. And after the third time, I was like, woo, wow, this is great. After the fifth time, I was like, woo.
Well, she said that with
and now I'm not healed, but I'm feeling a lot better.
She said that with that glutathione, she was feeling like her chronic fatigue syndrome had just gone away.
Yeah.
So the hyperbaric was supposed to be to try to figure out if it would help fibromyalgia. And it's, we don't like to just go out and spend money randomly on things that people say. So we were kind of looking to see. And honestly, Israel has some of the best advanced medicine. So we tend to be like, what studies have been done on this? And how did they test it? And what did it show? And so that's why she's trying it. But the fact that she came out like super high energy, it's just been constantly that way since then, has been refreshing and exhausting because she's into world domination now.
And I am dominating the world. So what hyperbaric therapy is you go into a chamber, and this isn't the one that mine's a slightly different. The window's not as big, but let me show you here. So you go into this chamber, and then you lay there for an hour. And while you're there, so while you're laying in there for an hour to an hour and a half a day, you just read a book or whatever, and it pressurizes you and gives you high amounts of oxygen, and pushes it into your, bloodstream and your muscles and all that, and gets it really going. So I think just having the oxygen just forced into my veins has just really helped a lot. So
Julie asked, how long are you in for?
I've done 15 treatments, and we'll see where I'm at with 20. And I've given myself permission, if we're still making good money with super easy recipes, I'm going to go to 60. When I start feeling better is when I'll stop. If I make it to 60 and I don't feel any better, then I'll stop at 60. But the thing is, I am feeling so significantly better. I'm like a new person. I mean, I really am. My mind is clear, and I just feel so much better.
I think she meant, though, how long are you in each time?
An hour to an hour and a half.
Oh, did you say that already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah.
So
it's funny though. It's funny in the picture there too. I just joke around that it looks like an escape pod from Star Trek.
Mike told me the first time I went in, he said, now if they go to put a wreath on top of you, you might get a little concerned. I said, don't go Michael Jackson yourself.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. Okay. Let's see. Thank you, everyone who's been watching my other channel. I really appreciate it. Yes, our videos are going crazy over there. Julianne says, the nougat candy with gumdrops is amazing, delicious, and incredibly dangerous. Thank you for the recipe. You're welcome. If you want it to taste like Brock's, remember the Brock's candies, the Brock's nougat? Use the gummy Skittles. And you can use either marshmallow cream or the marshmallow fluff, whichever you want. But the gummy Skittles is the one that tastes the closest so far to the Brock's.
Actually, oh man, those are dangerous. All those nougat ones are really good. And I like kind of chewy jelly candy type candies, and those are good. I mean, I love the chocolates too. Thankfully, I haven't been able to eat them all. But I don't know. As I've gotten older, if I eat too much of the sugar, then I go into sugar shock.
Donna says, I made the white cranberry almond pistachio fudge. Wasn't the nougat? Yeah, wasn't that was my favorite, I think, so far. That one is just so delicious. Darlene, I do not have a recipe for cathedral cookies. I've never heard of those, so I don't know what they are. Do you get claustrophobic? I don't get claustrophobic.
One thing is that the chamber is not really that small. It doesn't come up.
You can sit up if you need to.
It's not like being in an MRI machine where it's real close to you.
You can move around, and
yeah, you can.
And when
kind
I'm
of get up
laying
on
down, there's like this much to the top, right?
Yeah, like if you got up on your knees and your hands in your knees, you could do that in there because the height is that high. So it's not, and it's also longer than your body. So it's not like you're like in an MRI machine, the machine is right up to you, and that's a little bit claustrophobic sometimes, but this other one, no.
And my headaches are starting to go away. So I feel that's partly how all of this started happening. Was I've been trying to fight my stupid headaches that I've had for 30 plus years. And I went to the pain doctor in the middle of all this after going off of pain meds for 3 months. It was actually 4 months before I could get back to the doctor because it's a 2-hour drive from here. But went off the pain meds for 4 months, went to the pain doctor, and he was like, well, you'll have to come back tomorrow because I can't give you the shots today. I'm like, what? Yeah, your insurance won't allow it. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I go back the next week to get the shots in my head to try and see if these muscles are the ones causing the pain. Oh my goodness. I was in tears. Childbirth did not hurt that bad. I got 4 shots in the back of my head, and I'm like, okay, forget it. I'm not doing this anymore. So that's kind of how I got onto the hyperbaric, because it was kind of my last resort. I really didn't have anything else to try. I'd been on elimination diets out the wazoo. No sugar, no caffeine for months. No corn, no flour, no joy in life.
Oh,
no potatoes, all of those. Hello, Susie.
Lori asked, did you have to get a referral from the doctor to do it?
No, because we're paying cash. So if you go and do a medical one, you will have to get it. If you want insurance to pay for it, you will. But the place I'm going to is not a huge medical grade one. This is a smaller one that just does 11 pounds of pressure, like 11, not 11 pounds of pressure, but it's like diving 11 feet, I should say. But it's not the full-blown big one. And that's fine. I'm okay. I'm feeling so much better with the smaller one that I'm just going to keep doing that, because for me right now, it's only $40 a treatment. And I'm just going to do that until I start feeling better. And so now what I'm doing is I'm getting glutathione once a week, and I'm doing that treatment once a day until probably the middle of January. And then we'll see where we're at. I mean, if I just am totally healed, but my fibromyalgia is going down. I'm not healed, but it is going down. You haven't had to rub me near as much.
No.
Because Mike would have to massage me. You know, there were times where he'd have to do it every night just to let me sleep.
Yeah, in the summer and the fall, especially, it was like every day she was all knotted all over again. How about the CFS?
Is it going down? Well, I think the glutathione's helping with that.
You told me you thought it was pretty much gone.
Yeah, I think it's almost gone. So
she's feeling a lot better.
Yeah, I don't have that flu feeling that you get with chronic fatigue syndrome all the time. How's mom doing? She's doing well. Thank you for asking. She was over here last night for Mike's birthday party.
Yep. I thought we were going to play cards, but we didn't.
Nope.
Have to wait for me till Christmas.
Nope. Yeah. Am I able to eat what I want now that I'm doing the therapy? No, not yet. And I did go to the GI doctor for all that and was scoped up the wazoo and down the wazoo and everywhere. And I did have some pretty bad erosion in my esophagus. And so I was hoping that that would help. But so far, the medication that they put me on hasn't really helped me with that. So I'm like, okay. Whatever, but we'll see what happens. All right. Can you send me the next comments or questions, or is there any?
There's a short amount here.
Okay.
If there's anything you're wondering, you want to know, be sure and post your questions. We haven't been on for a while, so I know a lot of people are not. We tried to post. We posted a notice about it 2 days ago, so that hopefully YouTube and Facebook would share it, so people would know who, because some people were wondering how's it going.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if just a lot of people can get the message. Of course, it is Friday too.
Yeah. Well, I've been feeling.
We were going to do it yesterday, but then it was like, are we doing a live show at 4:30 on my birthday? Because we were going to have, Jill and the kids over. So yeah.
Actually, I've been feeling so good with the Hyperbaric that I thought about buying one and just using it every day until I start feeling better, and then selling it when I'm done. But yeah. It's been making me feel so much better. All right, let's see. Next question is, do we all freeze dry food as part of your pantry preps? No, it is. Buying a freeze dryer is ridiculously expensive. And I know there's a lot of homesteader prepper people that think it's great. And I think the product is great. I don't have a problem with the product. But for the $3,500 that you would spend on freeze drying your food, that doesn't include buying the food also, or growing the food also. So it's not just $3,500 for the freeze dryer. You got to come up with the food also. And if you don't garden, that's huge. If you have the money, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But as a way to save money on prepping, no. I don't think a freeze dryer is worth the money. You can if you just like it. It's like canning. Some people just like to can, and that's fine. But does it save money? No, it doesn't actually save money. By the time you include all your sugar and your spices, and if you have to buy your fruits and vegetables, not mentioning your time, it's not worth it. So, and yeah, as far as prepping, I just go and buy regular food and just stockpile my pantry and just rotate through my food. And it'll be interesting to see what happens now that Trump has been elected. We were just talking the other day, are people even going to want prepping videos? Because now they're going to think everything's just going to be all fine and dandy now that Trump is in office. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what will happen. Barbara, are you bummed that Kroger-Albertsons merger was canceled? Yes, I'm very bummed because our Albertsons stinks. We have two We have Albertsons, a family grocery store called Ridley's, and Walmart for our groceries here in town. And it's just, our grocery selection here stinks. Absolutely stinks. They never have stuff in stock. The stuff they do have in stock is not very good. So I have to buy most of my groceries at Walmart, which is the cheapest for me. I had to go to Billings to drive a friend up there day before yesterday for surgery, which is 2 hours away. And I went to Winco, and holy moly. I came back while she was in surgery. I went to Winco, and I came back with an entire back of my 4Runner full of food. So yeah, but anyway, Kimberly says, I discovered that I had severe sleep apnea where my oxygen was down 72 during the night, and I stopped breathing, and that was contributing to my migraines. Actually, I had one of my sons trying it also, and he said, I don't know if it's helping me feel better, but I'm sleeping better. And he had thought about just getting an oxygen machine, not just a CPAP, but an oxygen machine at night. I don't know. Do they have a 2-for-1 tube thingy? So you could have one side and I could have one side. We could both have our oxygen at night.
And then something to put on my eyes so they don't get dry.
I don't know. Yeah, poor Mike still hasn't gotten over his dry eye problem. He's been in really bad pain with that. Teresa, I haven't seen you guys in forever. Don't know how I lost contact with you. Glad to see you. Well, thank you. Yes, we've got the crud going around here. Also, it has started. All right. Do you have questions?
Are there more? Sure, I can send them to you.
What is our opinion? Renee wants to know on this drone thing in the Northeast. I haven't even heard about it. I don't even know what it is.
Well, I don't know enough about it to have an opinion, particularly. Well, except to say that. So what's happening is there are people reporting that there are a lot of drones being seen over New Jersey and New York, and sometimes military bases and stuff.
Okay.
And nobody knows what they are. And a lot of people that have brought it up, government is generally just not responding to it. And my thinking is drones are a hard thing to deal with, but if they're large drones, because I think some of them I've heard were large drones, but again, I'm only hearing this. I haven't looked into it very carefully, but I would say that I would be, if they were over a military base, I would, if I was a government official, I would have them shot down. If they're over military base or any kind of restricted airspace, like the White House and the Capitol and the president's houses and various things like that. But in general, I would say, I think that it's important that the government investigate to see what they are. Because there are, the thing with drones is that little drones, anyone can have them. And even terrorists could have the little drones, and they would be good for seeing things and checking things out. But bigger ones can actually do damage more. And of course, I think it would be the responsibility of people in defense to find out if these are something, not good, something from an enemy nation or an enemy organization. I just don't know how they would do that. But that is their job, and they should be doing that.
So everybody's saying some of them are the size of cars. They don't know if they're ours, and they're monitoring people here, or if they're other places. Extremely large, larger than normal.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing, a lot of those things, but I've been hearing them from all kinds of sources, and I don't know the sources. So I don't know which things are true and which things are not true. So that's where I certainly think I would be very concerned about it. Particularly if I think that I definitely think if it's a big enough thing that people are talking about it on Capitol Hill and stuff, obviously it needs to be investigated by the defense establishment. And
January 20th can't come soon.
Yeah. Well,
if he can make it that long alive.
Well, I do know also that all the war that's going on in the Middle East, which is just really blowing up like crazy, they have so many, every side is using drones in a huge way. And actually, they're also using a lot of drones in the Russia-Ukraine war. And that's kind of a whole new thing that's, I think, harder to track. But they need to be able to get a sense of what's going on. Because the thing is, like, little drones are a lot different because they can see things, but they can't deliver payloads and stuff. But some of the bigger ones, I've heard some of the ones in New Jersey and some of those places are a lot larger. Or like when those balloons were going over, I think that those are, an enemy is spying on us, they need to shoot it down. And I suspect that the new administration, when the new administration is in, they're going to probably be a lot of crackdowns on those things. So, and that would be good because honestly, it would be so easy for terrorists to use drones to have a September 11th style terrorist attack in New York or somewhere like that. Because like the medium to large ones, they can carry things that can be extremely dangerous and can be released remotely. So yeah, I would say I wouldn't overly be afraid of it, but I definitely think it needs to be dealt with. And I think the new administration will probably be a lot more aggressive about that.
Oh, Julie lives near McConnell.
Oh, wow.
Interesting things every now and then. Yeah, see, that's the thing about living near military bases. When we lived in Wichita and we heard all of the jets going off,
we knew something was about to happen.
You knew something was going on and start watching the news because something was happening. But yeah. I don't doubt that it's a thing. I personally have been so busy filming videos and editing, I have not been keeping up in the prepping world, which is why I haven't been putting out any videos, because every day I'm like, Mike, we got to put out a video. I don't even know what to say anymore on Living on a Dime because Super Easy is just going so berserk. And so my focus has just been getting the recipe channel to do as much as it can while we have the high ad revenue until December 24th. From September to December 24th is the highest ad revenue for YouTube. And well, all of, for Google ads and all those on websites and stuff.
Because companies spend their most money on their ads then, and it creates a lot of competition.
So bloggers and influencers and all those, they make the majority of their money. So like for us, at least what would you say, half our income is made the last 3 months of the year?
Probably.
Half to 2/3 of our income is made the last 3 months of the year.
Well, this year we've done really badly most of the year.
Yeah.
So this year it's probably more than half.
So,
but yeah, generally it's probably like half.
I've just been focusing on that just so that we can maximize the amount of income we're getting. And there are some people who are like, well, you're just doing it all for the money. Heck yeah. That's our job. There are some people that criticize, influencers and bloggers and say, well, they're just doing it for the money. Yeah, that's their job. It's their income. Of course, they're doing it for the money. They don't need to apologize for that. It's just ridiculous when people comment stuff like that.
That's really interesting on the drone thing. I see what people are saying here. Because somebody said, who was it? I missed it. It said right here in New Jersey. Oh, yeah. Ragdoll preppers, they're huge, car-sized right here in New Jersey, usually after 9 p.m. Yeah, we noticed,
I believe you guys. I just haven't been on looking at the stuff happening.
And I do think definitely there would be a serious concern. And I would say, although with the current administration, perhaps not. But I would say in general, the people that are in charge in defense, you would like to hope that they're aggressively pursuing it, even if they don't tell us what they're doing. But yeah, big ones that are car sized, those are, because that's what they're using in the war over there in the Middle East. Like they have huge drones that are like blowing up apartment buildings and all kinds of stuff like that. So that would be it would certainly be it would be not doing their jobs for the military and the defense to not be trying to figure out real quick what those are.
Yeah.
Like real quick.
Yeah.
And somebody said they don't want to shoot down their own stuff. South Loop River Homestead. You never know what they're there for. I tend to not be one to jump to certain types of conspiracies, but it certainly could be things from the government, but we don't really know what they would be doing. It might be a bad thing. It could be a neutral thing. It's hard to know. When we were in Colorado, a couple of times we would hear this weird kind of magnetic kind of rumbling sound. It was just really loud and would shake everything and go out. And was it once or twice where we actually saw something fly over and shake all the houses and keep on going, and we couldn't tell what it was.
I was like, what are you talking about? That was freaky.
It was. We never found out what it was.
Between our house and the neighbor house, and we were in bed, and it went so fast that by the time we jumped out of bed to look out the window, all we saw was this little tiny light way down past the highway on the street. I mean, you could just barely see it.
Well, when she says it went between our houses, it didn't go like between the houses at our level. It was up, but not very high. It wasn't very high.
It rattled our windows.
It wasn't very high. Well, the whole neighborhood was shaking.
Our neighbor, the next morning, she said, I jumped out of bed and grabbed the rifle from underneath the bed because I thought somebody was breaking into my house.
It was this kind of I guess a magnetic sound is what comes to my mind, but it was this really strange weird kind of electrical roaring rumble, and it's built for a minute or so without us being able to quite figure out what it was. And then I was thinking, I think this is something in the air. And that's when we went out and it went over and went off in the distance.
Oh man.
So we never did find out what it was, but a lot of the neighbors were also wondering. And so you just never know on some of that stuff. And some of it, because some things could be secret government experiments. And if they are, they're not going to tell us what that is. And just because it's a secret government experiment doesn't necessarily mean that it's
bad necessarily. But
I mean, I understand there could be situations that are bad. But I wouldn't probably jump to that conclusion as the first conclusion. I would be more inclined to jump to the conclusion that Iran or China or somebody's doing it, especially since China's already shown they can just fly balloons over the country under the current administration and nobody stops them. Like if we flew a balloon over Russia or China, it would be down in like 2 seconds.
It'd be World War III right away.
So,
yeah. I don't know. Tanya says people in our area keep talking on Facebook scanner about loud boom sounds, but never hear anything. Wow.
Well, so the thing with loud boom sounds is it could be a lot of things, but I know sonic booms are like that. You don't see the aircraft until the aircraft is gone by the time you hear the sound. Because when we were living in Wichita, we were at an air show and they had like B-1s that they were flying real low for the air show. Back in those days, the public could more easily get into air shows. And that plane was gone before the boom got to you because it was moving so fast. So some of that stuff is not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of like here at our house. Our house in the wintertime, we've never had this happen before. But we'll just suddenly hear this really loud sound that sounds like somebody threw a rock against the house, like a baseball-sized rock against the house. And eventually we discovered it's that when it's really cold and it's warm in the house kind of shifts and there's different building materials that are different. They expand at different rates and it makes a pop. But man, hearing that sound, if we were just to jump to a conclusion, there's all kinds of crazy stuff we could think it was. So, yeah. So just if you hear a noise, I wouldn't necessarily assume that it's some other particular thing. When I was working at one of the PBS stations, we always had what we called the studio ghost. Because up in the studio rafters, we'd always hear now and then, bang, 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 bang. And we're like, what is that? And for years, everybody called it the studio ghost. And some of the people that worked there were kind of a little afraid to go up there. I never really was because I thought there's got to be something that this is. And anyway, eventually, like years later, we discovered that there was a long water pipe that went along there. And when somebody would flush the toilet in one of the bathrooms down there, the water would run through the toilet. And then when the valve turned off, all the water would stop really quick and the whole pipe would shake. But it took like 5 years after I started working there to figure out what it was.
Well, and as we get closer to the end times, guys, a lot of this stuff is going to be happening just as we get closer and closer. I think Jesus returning is imminent. And I just really think that we're just on the verge of Christ coming back to get us, and then the tribulation is going to happen. And so I don't think it's going to be that long before we go. And so all this crazy stuff is just going to be happening more and more and more. And so
Wow.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, South Loop River Homestead says, I thought they were thinking the booms are coming from underground. Well, that'd be interesting. Kind of a little weird too. Oh,
What?
that reminds me, we were at Yellowstone this summer, and the boys and I were there on one day, and there was a place where we're like, oh, that Biscuit Basin, that sounds like a sweet little place. And Tara and I and the boys had been there earlier in the year and walking around this one place by Prismatic Pool. There's another pool that's there. Prismatic is this giant one that's got all these rainbow colors on it. You've probably seen it on National Geographic magazine or something, but there's another pool next to Prismatic that's really big, and it says, oh yeah, and one day in 1974 it just exploded. Blue rocks and stuff everywhere, and we're like, wow, they don't give you that warning when you go out
to
there.
Yellowstone.
But boys and I one day were there, and Tar was there was a different trip, and we're like, oh, there's Biscuit Basin. That's kind of a cute sounding name. We should go there sometime. And the next day it just detonated completely.
Well, what we didn't say was our son was actually there the night before with his friends.
Yeah. Well, like at midnight the night before. So it was just interesting, the things that can happen that you don't really expect. Although you're actually, people don't realize it, when you're at Yellowstone, you're on an active volcano.
Yeah.
But I'm not afraid. I know where I'm going.
Jamin wants to know who gets our stuff after the rapture. Not that I will care at that point, but I wonder, it's just going to all be looted. It'll just all be looted because it's just going to be total chaos for probably a month or two. That's why the Antichrist is going to be able to come in and take over, because it's going to be so much chaos with all these people gone, and there's going to be looting and all of that. So I think it'll just be looted.
Carol says, what time is it with you? Hello, Carol. It is 5:35 p.m.
Yep.
With us.
Bandana Grandma, we love to play cards, but can't find anyone who wants to play. Yep, we get it. I totally get it.
Ooh, Julie says, I live on the New Madrid fault line and I hear booms daily. It's not really surprising, because even if the fault is moving just a little, it's huge rocks and things grinding against each other.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting and a little crazy.
Nancy says, do you have a video making a turkey dinner on this channel? I have how to make turkey on both channels, on Living on a Dime and on Super Easy Recipes. So you can search, and I have both on there. Elaine, I think it's the whole alien thing is going to get a whole lot worse. Yes, it is. And yeah, you're just going to keep hearing more and more about that stuff. Do I think it's aliens? No. Do I think it's demons? Yes. I think it could be demons that are causing some of this stuff to happen. I don't think that it's aliens, though.
Because they don't even have airplanes. Sorry, I was joking. Sorry.
Surely I had reflux and had operation to stop it, and it's better now. Well, that's good. Teresa, Tara, glad you're feeling better. Looks like you lost weight too. I have lost about 10 pounds. So yes, thank you. I haven't lost a lot of weight, not from the hyperbaric. I lost the weight actually before I did hyperbaric. My problem is right now is all the candy. I'm having a really hard time resisting, but honestly, it's not too hard now. But
I need to step it up. Well, we have been using it for giving to everyone and everyone we could find, so it pays to be a friend of ours and share learning, but also like bake sale for the school and all kinds of things.
Although it's funny, people are so critical. Like, I licked my fingers in one of the things, and then I went to go stir, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's disgusting! You're giving this for a party. Oh, gross! You licked your fingers." Well, by the way, thank you guys for commenting on all that, because it made my video go viral, and I'm almost to 500,000 views, I think, on that one. But I did wash my hands. There's this thing called editing that people are like, what's the word? Ignorant that it happens in videos. A video does not just go straight through. You have editing. So I edit out all those things. Well, that one I was just talking to my son, so I decided to leave it in there so that you guys could hear the conversation with my son. But yes, I do wear, I do wash my hands and all of that. It's just,
the thing is, if we left in all the hand washing in every video, 80% of the people would stop watching it, because it just would be a really long video of kind of boring things.
Yeah. But
there have been some where Tara says, like, she'll take me over to the sink to shoot the part where she's saying, and then I go wash my hands and I do all the dishes, so make it easier. So she's giving a tip there. But in general, we don't include all the hand washing parts or all the washing of all the implements. I mean, if you watch the candy videos, you might notice that like the spatula is completely covered in chocolate and in the next shot it's not, but you didn't know
Yeah.
how that happened. It's because of editing.
Yeah.
It just makes the show run faster.
Yeah. Somebody asked, am I doing videos and on disability? Yes, I am. And if you want to see my whole Social Security story, you can go look on Living on a Dime. Just go search on YouTube, and I did a whole video on it. But you can work while you're on disability. And Social Security knows that I work, that I am doing all these videos and everything. And so, yeah, I mean, I get a pittance now because we make so much money from the videos that I
Which is fine with us. We don't need it.
I don't need it. But I can't get off of it because I'm not healed yet. So until I'm better, they won't let me off. And I've asked.
Well, it's their
and
policy.
They won't let me.
And it's their policy because they think, well, what happens if your husband leaves you and you're sick? And then you have a major fallback.
Yeah.
And even though that's not going to happen in our family, it's pretty common in a lot of families. And so the government's rule is that way for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, you can work. I've worked pretty much the entire time I've been on disability, and I just turn in my stubs to the government, and I don't get hardly anything now. It's like down to, I don't know, $25, $50. I don't know. It's really, really low. So anyway, yeah. Molly, military practice, check it out for the bombs and the loud noise at night. Okay. Are we going to have to get back on the prepping world to know what's going on?
Well, actually, it's funny because we were talking about YouTube. For those of you who wonder if you're not that fond of the prepping videos, YouTube basically we don't get a lot of views if we talk about groceries and saving money and the stuff that we intended for Living on a Dime to be, because YouTube has just decided it's a prepping channel. And so they won't show that stuff to a lot of people. So if we do prepping stuff, they will show that to all the people that want prepping. But lately we've been thinking, well, it seems like people aren't that worried at the moment about how things are going. So what is there? Because there are things that are happening in the world that are interesting and concerning, but they're things that people that are into prepping don't necessarily care about.
Yeah.
You know, like the huge revolution that's happening in Syria right now. Of course, the news is talking about it like it's, oh, this is a great thing. In some ways it's a good thing, but in other ways it's not. And in the end, it's not going to be better. It's not necessarily going to be better for the world. So it is better that Israel's enemies are all in confusion. But
Isn't that crazy, guys?
But the people that are taking over in Syria are probably just as bad as the ones who they're chasing out.
Yeah.
So
our Christmas sale is still on, guys.
I just sent you more comments.
Volume 1, start here. If you only have one book to buy, get this one. Volume 1 and Volume 2, 40% off. They go together, but they're totally different recipes. You don't have to buy them both. You can use them separately as cookbooks. And then our gluten-free edition and our price book, guys, are how to save money on groceries. This is the big key right here. You buy your groceries with this, and then you use the recipes in our other books, and that's how you save money on your grocery bills. So, yeah. Let's see. Carol, I answered that question just a few minutes ago, so you can just go back and see what I said about that. Okay, next questions. Here it comes. Lori, did the fires affect many people, and will it affect crops later? So the crops that it will affect the most is the ranchers with the cattle. That is the biggest crops that it's affecting. But as far as I've heard, there has been a lot of relief from other ranchers sending in hay and straw and all the feed for the alfalfa for the animals. So it sounds like they're going to be affected, but not as bad as it could be.
For those of you who don't know, we had some massive forest fires.
Massive wild.
In the summer, and well, wildfires.
Yep.
Some forest fires on the mountain and some wildfires in the grasslands.
Yep.
And it caused a lot of distress for a lot of ranchers. And
And it burned all of the mountains along our town here. It's black. I mean, it's black. We had to all be on evacuation prep for, well, man, it was like a whole month, wasn't it? It was a long time. 3 weeks or a month.
Yeah, the one that was on the mountain next to town here popped up at normally when the fire season would be over. And it burned like 100,000 acres really fast.
We have our evacuation stuff in boxes, but I am at Christmas now. I'm going to go buy some totes that are red and put all of our evacuation stuff in there so that next time we have to do this next summer again. It's been a long 10 years. In the last 10 years since we lived in Colorado and here, every single summer has had major wildfires, and really it gets old, to be honest. But
well, and people talk about, oh, it's because the weather is changing and the climate's changing. No, it's because the government changed the way they deal with fires. Yeah. And it used to be that they aggressively put out all the fires, and now they don't.
Yeah. And they used to harvest. They used to allow logging and harvesting all of the, So
what's happened, is a lot of...
The trees were stronger because it wasn't so crowded.
Yeah, a lot of fuel built up under trees when they were putting out every fire. And they used to go in and in a lot of places they would clean that out or have loggers come in and clean that out. But now it's just more or less of a leave it the way it is. And if it burns, it burns, except they'll aggressively put it out if it's going to hit a town or a lot of houses or a national park or something like that.
We had some friends at church that were directly affected, and it was getting very, very close to their houses and stuff. And so thankfully they all made it.
The ones that were taking pictures of the fire in the back, just behind their backyard. Yeah.
Mary Ellen, I have fibro, chronic fatigue, Crohn's, Hashimoto's, just had my 3rd bowel surgery. Feel like doctors are killing me instead of making me better. I want to do hyperbaric. Yeah, I mean, look into it because it's supposed to help give you oxygen and help with cell renewal. But not everyone can do it. You need to be cleared by your doctor to do it. Mom tried doing it, and she couldn't do it because she has problems with her ears. And
it's like diving underwater, so it makes your ears pop and all that.
And so make sure you can do it. And I had problems with my ears when I first started. The first 10 times or so when I did it, he had to take the pressure up really slowly because my ears weren't popping correctly. But now it's working, and because I think it's healing something in there. So, but I feel like a new person. Wow, everybody's on the drones. How was our trip to Vermont?
It was good, mostly. We did
a video on it. You can go back and look.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. We were a little bit distressed at the end because
it was a toilet in Maine.
Maine itself was probably fine, but our flight was going out of Portland, Maine at the end. So I booked our accommodations in Portland, Maine, and Portland, the city, is just really not a nice place.
No.
And so I think that kind of ruined it for us in Maine. But we did drive up the coast of Maine, and it was a lot nicer. I do kind of think it would have been nicer if we'd gone up to Acadia National Park and some other places in the northern part of Maine. But anyway, our best experiences really were in New Hampshire, of all things.
Yeah, we like New Hampshire.
And I say that of all things just because we didn't really know anything about New Hampshire before that.
Yeah, never.
But it was really nice. And Vermont, we started to go to Stowe, which is really known for their fall colors, but they were were they past when we were there a little bit?
Yeah, it was not peak anymore, and they were coming down.
And the place was super overrun with tourists, and it was the kind of tourist place that it's just people that like to spend a lot of money on fancy coffees and stuff that we're really not into. So we asked some advice from some other people in Vermont.
I wouldn't go to Vermont, and I wouldn't go to Maine. I would just go to New Hampshire. But New Hampshire was really packed with people, though.
But we did ask some advice for some people in Vermont, and we ended up taking a drive all the way up to the Canadian border. And it was nice. That was nice. And it was nice, more our style, to be out of the cities, out of the heavy tourist areas. Because we used to live in a tourist area, and we kind of like to not be among throngs of people. But there was a really cool, you can watch our video about it, but there was a really cool cider mill that we really liked and stuff like that.
It really says Damascus has fallen. It has fallen, but it has not met the description that the Bible gives, where it's blown to smithereens and no one can live there anymore. So we're still waiting for Damascus to get nuked by a bomb. But it's getting crazy enough. It just may happen anytime soon. I don't know, guys. I mean,
well, it is interesting that there's combat every day in Damascus now. So
yeah.
And that being a prophetic thing about its destruction kind of gets a lot of people talking about what's going on.
Jennifer, go back to the beginning of the show. I talked about the whole Daystar thing. You can see what we say about that.
Julie says, I live on the coast of Maine, close to Canada. It's beautiful here. Yeah, I thought that the northern part of Maine might have been better. I just think that we thought that the way, when I looked up Portland, I thought it said the population was 68,000. So I thought it's kind of a small city. But really, it was 560,000. So it was a large city. So I think that was part of the shock for us. And also, it's just radically different culture, particularly in a political way and also in a really church kind of way. Was radically different and kind of disturbing to us. So, Michelle, what is Damascus? It is the capital of Syria. And
it's big in Bible prophecy because it's going to be blown to bits.
In the Bible, it's one of the things that it talks about happening before the end times is that Damascus will be destroyed in a day.
In Ezekiel 30
and nobody
38, I can't remember.
Nobody will ever be able to live there again. So people think that means it's going to be like a nuclear thing or whatever, but God doesn't really need nuclear things. So it could be anything. But it would be
here. Isaiah 17, 1-7. The city of Damascus will be destroyed. Only ruins will remain. People will leave the cities.
Flocks will wander freely in the empty towns, and there will be no one to bother them. So,
So it's big in Bible prophecy because it's one of the other things that's going to happen either right before or right after Christ comes.
And people talk about like a nuclear destruction. It could be that, but it doesn't have to be that.
No.
Like God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah with no nuclear weapons, but it was just as bad.
But it's uninhabitable. So, it leads you to believe that it could be something like nuclear war, but God could do something supernatural too. Kimberly, I think the powers that be really want to mess with the new administration next year. So I'm staying prepared. Our adversaries have not backed down, and then something may pop off regardless of who's in the White House. Oh, I totally agree with you. If President Trump makes it even into office, it's going to be a miracle. I mean, he's even said that my goal right now is just to stay alive because he has had so many threats on his life. So it's like, I totally get it. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Thank you. Oh, no. There. Okay. Yeah. Do we have a spreadsheet download for, I don't know what, for something, but we have spreadsheets for budgeting. And that's the only spreadsheets that we have, right? And those are just PDFs to download.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering what kind of a spreadsheet did you mean? Because if it was something that was going to be, if it was something that was popular that a lot of people were wanting, it's not beyond the possibility of making one. But it just depends on what it is you're looking for and how complicated it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Comments. Froze family, all those amazing candy recipes look so yummy, but not this old lady's food list. There you go. I know, but I'm a candy maker and I absolutely love it. And I was like, why not go for it? And we did. And let me tell you, I'm so glad we did. We just really hit the nail on the head with super easy recipes. And we're trying to figure out what we're going to do with living on a dime now. I honestly don't know what we're going to do. I don't know if Mike and I should just come on live once a week or if I should just do DIY like cleaning and product testing and stuff like that. Or if I should just sit down and give my 2 cents like I did with all the prepping videos.
The problem is,
I don't know.
We've done so many different things over the years on this channel that YouTube just doesn't know who would be interested in watching it. So
and we can turn it.
So they don't show it to the people. But in order to turn it, we have to do the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
And right
pick
now,
a focus.
Yeah. And we haven't really been doing that. Right now, what YouTube thinks is that the channel is a prepping channel. And so they're mostly promoting prepping. If we did something different, we'd have to do the different thing for a long time. Like when we were doing the grocery audits, eventually they started to do a lot better because we consistently did them. But at the time, Tawra didn't think that I could edit them, just that she needed to do it because of logistically how they went together. And it just was taking her way too much time. She just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I couldn't spend 40 hours on it.
Otherwise, we would have maybe continued to do those. They were kind of neat
Yeah.
shows. It's just, it took her 40 hours of editing. And that was...
And the amount of views we were getting, yeah, we probably could have kept going, but it would have had to have really changed.
Lives, please. Love the lives. Lives in 2 cents videos. Please do the lives.
That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, somebody that likes the Thrifty Thursdays. I forgot what we called it. Oh,
the tightwad. Yeah. Yeah. And I have been doing a lot of thrift store stuff and finding a lot of good deals at the thrift stores. So it's like, I hate to, I don't know what to do. And Super Easy has just been going so crazy. So now I'm like, do I just do candy recipes all year long? Or do I dominate the world with other things?
Why stop at candy when you can go for total world domination?
I'm thinking
Chad, that one's for you.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Elizabeth's been making the Christmas candies. They're so easy. Thank you. I actually like the Christmas candies. And Angie, I have a diabetic. I don't know if I'm going to get it done tomorrow. It might be Monday's video, but I have 7 diabetic Christmas candies coming out either tomorrow or next week. I don't know if I can get it edited tomorrow. It'll probably be Monday or Tuesday, but
hint, spoiler alert. I tried some of them and woo!
You didn't even know.
Good. Some of them I was really surprised.
He was shocked because he didn't even know.
There's no sugar in this?
Elaine says, how many trees do I have decorated right now? So I did not put up my gnome tree this year.
You didn't?
I didn't.
Why
but
didn't you?
We have 1, 2. I just have the 2 big ones decorated this
one outside.
year. And one outside.
One outside is decorated.
Yeah.
We have some that just grow outside, so.
Yeah, I didn't get the gnome one up. I just the video recipes have just been taking a really long time. And it's been a lot of work. And we have been rewarded for our work. I'm not complaining. But I'm just explaining why I have to give up other things in order to do other stuff. So yeah, we have to do that. But yeah, Mike didn't even know the diabetic candies were diabetic.
No.
Or sugar-free, whatever you want to call it. So
yep. Only one of them I didn't detect that it was not a diabetic. I just knew that the texture was different. Mm-hmm. All the rest of them were, I mean, I would never have known. The texture was consistent with it being one with sugar in it and everything. So that has been interesting trying all the fudges. I just wish I could eat them the way I used to.
Yeah.
So.
He's having really, really bad reflux. So we go, yeah. And in the middle of all of this, he's going 2 hours away each way to the doctor for several trips. I'm taking my friend to the doctor. I'm going to the doctor in the middle of this 2 hours away. We're spending 2 hours every day getting ourselves zapped with oxygen and all of this.
And the 2 hours away thing is because we could spend $1,000 to go to the doctor here in town. Or we could drive an hour and a half and spend $200. So it's worth spending 3 hours round trip driving to save $800.
Yeah.
So
it's ridiculous.
And that's why I think in our area and a lot of smaller areas, people go to bigger places for medical care. But the thing is, it's totally worth living here for us, even though we have to do that sometimes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because we just like very remote places. So
thank you. Yeah, if you guys want our Christmas candies, those are in our volume 1 and volume 2. A lot of the fudges are in both, but volume 1, volume 2, and then also our gluten-free, dairy-free edition. Have it in there if you want all of those recipes. And we left our Christmas sale on because Super Easy Recipes is just going so berserk that I was like, Mike, we gotta cash in on this. I'm sorry. It is just crazy what has been happening. And
yeah, I think what she was saying, which we officially ended it, and then I was out of town and unable to take it off. And when I came back, Tawra said, with all
a couple of videos had gone viral while you were gone.
With all the candy and fudge ones just going completely crazy, a lot of new people were coming. And the new people were thinking, what? Did I miss the sale? So
yeah.
like, okay, we'll go ahead and leave it on until Christmas. And then we decided to leave it on through Christmas Day. So if somebody asked for a gift from my husband or whatever and didn't get it,
Yeah.
that they could then still order it.
Yeah.
Like if you
So
have
you guys
Christmas
can
money or
see
something.
right there on the right. So on the left is our big bump from last Christmas that we were just so excited about.
Well, this graph, the left, that whole long line that's really low, that's everything we did on that channel up until
That's the whole
a
year.
couple months ago. And that one little spike way back there is the huge
That's where we were
jump
so
in the
excited.
channel last year. So that's why we've been doing a lot of stuff on that channel right now. And of course, all of you are welcome to come over there to see those videos as well.
Yeah, it's super
Like-
easy recipes, but that's why it's been going crazy. Yeah, Michelle,
share the
it's
link to
baking
that.
soda. We've been working on trying to fix all those, so thank you for letting me know, but it's baking soda on there. Yeah.
Because if you like kind of the interaction between us on this channel and stuff, there's a lot of that in those candy recipes. So
Mike films me for about half of them, and so that's what we've been doing. But yeah, it's been crazy. But I'm going to dominate the world with my fudge recipes, right, dear?
Yep,
Do you have faith in me?
I do.
The
I
pastor
love the fudge.
the pastor saw the thumbnail for tonight's show, and he was like, okay, is this a workshop on how to do this, or is this your family's plans
on the
for
world
next year?
domination.
And so
But he also knows about a lot of the prepping stuff, and he's like, what's the angle you're going at on and a lot of the Bible shows that we've done.
so I told him, I said, well, I'm announcing that I'm the Antichrist. So we're going to see who knows their Bible and who doesn't.
Wow.
It's super easy recipes. Angie, Michael put the link in there.
I just put the link in.
Okay,
Wait,
just
didn't I?
scroll up a little
no,
bit.
I didn't. I put the link for the sailing again. Sorry,
Oh, that'll work too.
I thought it copied. but it
Elizabeth,
didn't.
Mama's doing well. Thank you for asking.
Here, now I'm putting the link in again. Sorry, when I copied it, it didn't copy, and it kept the other thing I already had copied.
Kimberly says, prepping is always needed because we need to be prepared for everything life throws at us. Yes, exactly. I mean, that's why we're prepared all the time. My stockpile never goes down because I'm just always restocking. So anyway.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you for visiting us tonight. Please visit livingonadime.com
And
to
just
grab
keep
our
an eye
Christmas
out.
sale.
Keep an eye out. We're not currently on a regular schedule with the lives, but we'll just kind of keep you posted.
Yep. And go visit us at Super Easy Recipes if you want to see more cooking, and livingonadime.com. Have a good night, guys.
Bye. Let me paste this in. All right.